Gonna go over the material we're gonna need for this build. We got some 1/2 inch wire mesh construction cloth. It's 2 feet by 27.5 inches. And then we got some 1/4 inch. That's gonna be the same measurement as 2 feet by 27.5 inches. Picked up some knobs off of Amazon, 1/4 20s. Picked off some casters off of Amazon too. Those are 2-inch casters. Then in the hardware bucket, we got 43 rivets, 3/16 with a 1/2 inch grip, 91 stainless steel washers, 3/16 by 3/4, 16 3-inch deck screws, 9 gauge, 21 1.25 inch exteriors, number 8s. Got 2 bucket lids, 4 buckets. We got 3 redwood 2x4 by 8 feet. Cutlass on those, we got 2 at 4 feet, 4 at 23 inches, and 2 at 9 inches. And then we're gonna rip those in half as far as the 9-inch pieces. Then we got 2 pieces of EMT, 1/2 inch. Those are gonna get cut in half. Those are 10-foot sticks, so 4 pieces at 5 feet. And we're gonna put a 20-degree bend on those. So that marks 14 inches to the front. So that puts my bend at about 16 inches. You see when I line up these 2 planes, I'm just going for that mark, so they should all be the same. All right, so we got 2 cut at 4 feet, 4 cut at 23 inches. Put a little chamfer on those guys, and also on my 4 9-inch pieces, just to make them look a little nicer, I guess. All right, so for the 4 footers, I want to put a 3/4 inch hole, which I got a 3/4 inch Forstner bit on there right now, about 2 inches back to center and centered on the 2x4. So I'm going to do that on both ends of each of the 2x4s. So we got a 3/16 bit lined up. Trying to get it as close to center as I can. I do that on each hole. Bottom. Now, if you can see, I've got my holes that I use for the little knobs are going to be on the outside. So that's something you got to pay attention to. And from the base here, I'm going to make a mark 7.5 inches. And another mark on this guy at 7.5. Cut a piece of MDF, 21 inches. All right. 24.5 inches. So I'm going to find that mark, line it up right there, make sure it's square to here. Get it lined up on that mark, square the 2x4 up to there. ensures this guy's going to be square with this one over here. Finished doing the other screws on the bottom. The next step is the layout for the casters. Once again, a little piece of MDF. It's just made a basic jig. I'm gonna just do 2 holes for this, just so I can have a little wiggle room to be able to line up the casters. Need to get a different bit. All right, now that that's looking pretty good, got one of these self-centering drill bits. Wish I would have had one of these a long time ago. And finish screwing her off. Screws preloaded. more centered. Now it's time to mount the legs. If this was hardwood, I would tap them, but I'm just gonna sharpen up the tip of a 3/8 all thread. I know. It doesn't have to be sharp, but just to get it up in the hole. These were 3/16. I think I did drill it out with the number 7 though. That's a recommended tap for a 1/4 20. So you just start it. First, I'm going to remove the handles. Now, before I actually start cutting on them, I need to cut a hole in the lid here. So I'm going to put the lid on 2 buckets. Get a little jig I made up. Make this jig, you want to make sure the bucket lid's all the way down. All right, next step is to cut all the tops off of the buckets. So it's about 1.5 inches down is where we want to cut it. I made a little jig for my little skill saw here. See, it looks like that. So there we go. We need to drill some holes around the edge here. 1.5 inches, so I'm going 3/4. Got myself a little template that I made up. Now, there's going to be 8 around the bucket. So if you look at it, you got these little splines, and you could actually line up off these splines. I'm just trying to make it easier on myself, so I made this up. So I could line that guy up to the hole of the bucket here, and you can see it's lining up on that other spline. Check it. All right. And the drill bit is a 7/32. Huh?
Safe to walk by? Is it safe
Yeah.
to walk by?
Yeah. It is recording though.
Good, I'm gonna flash my titties.
Woohoo!
Okay, good night, Unky. I
Good
gotta
night, Bear.
take a bath and then.
All right, I'll text when I leave, babe.
Yeah. No, we need milk.
All right. If you can think of something else, text me. Find it. Let's just drill. Really? Also just follow this line all the way up. You can see that one bolt kind of holds it in there pretty good. Now the fun part is trying to get this guy on there. You start in the back, kind of work around. It goes on there pretty easy. I'm looking to make sure it's all pressed up against the ridge up here. It's looking pretty good. Now I want to try to spin it so that that hole is lined up where I want to put my first rivet, which will be about right there. I'm feeling pretty confident. It's looking pretty good. So let's put the first rivet in. Next part is I'm going to cut this bucket in half with these Home Depot buckets. Pretty much if you follow their white line down, makes it pretty straightforward. You cut it in across, like right there. So that's the way I marked it out. But before I do that, I want to cut the bottom off of this guy, so I just have this part to work with. What I did was I actually installed a little guide right here. This is 1/2 inch, and that's pretty good as far as to get this bottom part of the bucket off. So let's cut off the bucket. That. So if anything, here, let's just zap this guy down the middle here. Okay, so to make the hopper, the part I cut off the bottom too, folded it back in on itself, so I came up with roughly about 8 inches of diameter. Then on this side here, or here, came down about 1.25 inches over. This is going to be one of my holes, the same spot, 1.25 inches over and 3/4 of an inch down. I'm going to secure that with the rivet. Oh yeah, also I made another mark here. It's 3/4 of an inch down on this center line. So this should be the bottom. Well, you guys will see in a little bit. That. Okay. Lids. Put them on there. Really doesn't matter what side. The wheel's going to ride on that track right there. And I got the other lid for this other guy. Let's give her a spin here. I'm digging it. So yeah, let's leave one on there so we can line up our hopper. Now with the hopper goes in there, I'm going to line this edge up with the edge of this bucket here. And one thing the lid does is when the material falls down, some of it wants to get pushed back up, and it'll keep it from dumping out in here. Learned that out on the first one that I made. So just trying to get it lined up. There's only a hopper. So I didn't put a screw up on this one, so it gives it a little bit of more flexibility when we change these out. The way we change them out, you just don't want to try to bring it up like that. Bring it out, pops out. And then you can take the 1/4 inch one, bring it in, and away you go. So basically 2 sifters in one. Is it go to prove?